I was 53 years old when I finally agreed to let my sister set me up on a blind date. After my divorce 3 years earlier, I had built a comfortable life for myself. A small apartment in a quiet neighborhood, a routine I could count on, and a neighbor named Sophie who lived 2 doors down. Sophie was about my age with warm brown eyes and blonde hair that caught the afternoon light when she watered her plants on the balcony. We would exchange pleasantries in the hallway. Sometimes she would ask me to help carry her groceries. I would ask her opinion on which tie looked more professional for work meetings. There was an ease between us that I had come to cherish, but I never thought to ask her out. Maybe I was afraid of ruining what we had, or maybe I had convinced myself that chapter of my life was closed. My sister Laura would not accept that answer. She called me every week, insisting that I needed to get back out there. Finally, I surrendered. That is how I found myself sitting in Morrison's coffee house on a Tuesday afternoon, waiting for a woman named Patricia. Laura had shown me her photo. She seemed nice enough, a teacher with kind eyes and a gentle smile. I arrived early and chose a table near the window. My hands felt clammy against a coffee cup. It had been so long since I had done this. The door opened, and I looked up expecting Patricia. Instead, Sophie walked in. Our eyes met, and I watched confusion cross her face. Then something else. Something that looked like disappointment. She was wearing a green shirt and jeans carrying that brown leather bag she always had. For a moment, she just stood there. Then she walked over to my table. "David," she said quietly. Her voice had a quality I had never heard before. "Hi, Sophie," I managed. "I am just waiting for someone. A date, actually." My sister set it up. I was rambling, and I knew it. The words tumbled out like I was making excuses. She nodded slowly. "I see." There was a pause that felt like it stretched forever. Then she said something that stopped my heart. "Why didn't you ask me out instead?" The question hung in the air between us. I stared at her, unable to form words. "What do you mean?" I finally said. Sophie pulled out the chair across from me and sat down. She set her bag on the floor and looked directly into my eyes. "For 2 years, David. For 2 years we have been neighbors. We talk almost every day. You make me laugh when I have had a terrible day at the office. I bake you cookies when I know you've been working late. Last winter, when I had the flu, you brought me soup 3 days in a row." My throat felt tight. You never thought I might feel the same way, she finished. "I am 51 years old. I have been single for 5 years. I thought maybe you were just being kind, just being a good neighbor. But every time I saw you, I hoped you might ask me to dinner, to a movie, to anything more than just borrowing sugar or discussing the weather. I felt like an idiot. How could I have been so blind?" "Sophie," I said, "I thought you were out of my league. You are beautiful and smart, and you always seem so put together. I am just a guy who works in accounting and watches too much television. I never imagined you would want someone like me." She reached across the table and took my hand. Her touch was warm and steady. "You are the kindest man I know. You notice when I am struggling. You remember the little things I mention. You treat everyone with respect. Do you know how rare that is?" Before I could respond, the door opened again. A woman in her early 50s with silver streaks in her dark hair walked in. She looked around nervously. "That must be Patricia," I said. Sophie started to pull her hand back, but I held on. "Wait," I said. She looked at me with those warm brown eyes. I stood up, still holding her hand, and walked over to Patricia. I apologized, explaining there had been a misunderstanding, that I had just realized I had feelings for someone else. Patricia was gracious about it. She even smiled and said she hoped things worked out. When I returned to the table, Sophie was watching me. "So what now?" she asked. Now I sit sitting down. Now I do what I should have done 2 years ago. Sophie, Mitchell, would you like to have dinner with me? Not as neighbors, as something more. Her smile was worth every moment of awkwardness. I would love that, David. We sat in that coffee shop for 2 more hours, talking like we always did, but different now, with honesty and hope. I learned that she had been waiting for me to notice her the same way I had been convincing myself not to hope. We laughed about all the missed signals, the times we both lingered in the hallway, hoping the other would say something, the excuses we made to see each other. When we finally left the coffee shop, the sun was setting. Sophie slipped her hand into mine as we walked back to our building. It felt natural, like something that had been waiting to happen all along. Later, my sister called demanding to know how the date went. I told her it was perfect, just not with the person she expected. She laughed and said she knew all along that Patricia was never really right for me, that she had just wanted to push me into action. Sometimes the person you're looking for is right there, closer than you think. You just have to be brave enough to see them, and brave enough to let them see you. Sophie and I took things slowly. We had time. We had already built a foundation of friendship and trust. Now we were adding something deeper. 6 months later, she moved into my apartment, or I moved into hers. It does not really matter because home became wherever we were together. I am 54 now. Sophie is 52. Every morning we have coffee on the balcony, and I thank whatever fortune brought me to that blind date, because it opened my eyes to what had been in front of me all along. Sometimes the best love stories are not the ones that sweep you off your feet. They are the ones that grow quietly, built on small kindnesses and daily choices, on seeing someone and letting yourself be seen. I almost missed it, but Sophie was brave enough to ask the question that changed everything. Why didn't you ask me out instead? And I am grateful every day that she did. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about your own unexpected love story. Sometimes the best moments in life are the ones we almost miss.